What up, guys? We're back out in the shop. We're still working on Troy's engine, and I was gonna be working on the lower end, but I decided to clean up my shop and stuff. And while I was cleaning up my shop, I got cylinder heads and stuff everywhere. I had a bunch of them down here on the shelf that are dirty and gross. And I was like, man, I really need to clean those because they're making a mess everywhere. So I was like, well, hell with it. I gotta clean his head. So I just decided I was gonna tear some heads apart and take them up to car wash and pressure wash them and stuff. Normally I would ultrasonic them and stuff. My ultrasonic, they don't fit in. I'm gonna get them cleaned up, pressure washed and stuff, get most of the grease off of them, get them disassembled, probably clean the valves up, and then maybe we'll lap them in. But then I'm gonna take them down to my buddy's shop, and I'm gonna have him service them for me, get them put back together, lap the valves in, make sure everything's good to go, and then they'll be ready to go on the short block whenever we get the short block done. I'm gonna tear his heads apart. I already got my other two sets apart, so we'll get these dissected, and I just do them on the floor. I got a little rubber mat on the floor that's pretty thick. It's like an inch thick. It's for standing on, and I'll use it to knock the springs off of it. Might be a little harder on his because he's got dual springs and retainers, so I don't know how well it's gonna work on his. It works pretty good on stock springs and stuff, and it keeps from banging the valve off of something hard. Anyways, I'm gonna get to trying to dissect these, and then we'll run them down to the car wash, hit them with some super clean, get them pressure washed, get them back, and then kind of see where we're at with these heads, and hopefully we can make them look a little better. Well, we got all the heads thrown in the back of the truck here. Got a couple spare sets of 862s and then Troy's 317s over there. These came off an engine that I just got it from a buddy of mine, and he said it had low oil pressure and had terrible lifter noise. Well, I took it apart and all the lifters were collapsed, so no wonder they were noisy. And that one, those came off a motor. I don't remember what they actually came off of. I've had so many of them. And maybe throw those on a little 5.3 third gen motor with a little small cam set up for boost. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see what we get into with those. And I've got the engine sitting here on a stand. I've got new cam bearings in it, as you saw in that last video. I got the crank polished and everything. I got the crank sitting down in the engine. We're gonna get new main bearings set in this thing. We're gonna get rod bearings put in the rods. We're gonna get those checked. And I've already got the crank measured. Here. And then we're waiting on a set of pistons to come in for his engine, because the engine previously had dish pistons in it. And we're gonna ditch the dish piston, and we're gonna go to flat top. And I've got some flat tops here that I was gonna use in it, but I'm short one piston. So a buddy of mine is bringing me a set of pistons for this that he just pulled out of a stock motor, and we'll get them cleaned up and get them put on the rods, and we'll go through and double check ring gap, and we'll go ahead and try and get the short block put together. Yeah, so let's get into it. So we got main caps off Troy's engine, got the cam in it, put a new cam plate on it. I gotta clean up parting line surface area of the main caps here. They're all clean, ready to go. Bolts are all clean. I went ahead and took his old lifters. We got them soaking in some Earl. I think this is motor oil, a little bit of tranny fluid, and then some Marvel mystery oil mixed in. But we're gonna soak those up and reuse those. There wasn't anything wrong with them. They didn't make any noise. The motor didn't have a bunch of metal or nothing like that in it. Clean those up, let those soak for a little bit and whatnot, and we'll put those back in. I'm gonna get new lifter trays for it, because the old lifter trays, they were pretty garbage. Lifters kind of just fell in them and whatnot. And I think I've got some main bearings here, and then I've got the rods. The rods are all cleaned up. I actually probably need to go through the parts washer and get Scotch-Brited and stuff, but you won't see it once the pan's on it. And then we'll put this thing back together. I got a new oil pump for it, so we'll just start rolling back together with this thing. The old block was pretty rough, which is why they put that weird paint on it. It may look like it's really, really rough from like old paint, but that's actually just how rough the actual block was. This is a very rusty block before it got painted with the other stuff. I think they were just trying to cover up how much texture was on it. But it's got probably 3 really good coats of Van Sickle on it. Should look pretty good once we get her all assembled. But anyways, I'm gonna run and grab a crank. We'll get that measured and start trying to put the short block together on this thing. All right, so we got the mains and everything torqued in Troy's engine, and I was trying to video. I was checking rod bearing clearance. Turns out I didn't turn the camera on. It's on video, it just didn't hit record. But we got all the rod bearings checked. Everything's good. Rod bearing clearance is good. We ended up with 1.5 thou of main bearing clearance and 2 thou of rod bearing clearance. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. Tons of oil pressure, hopefully. Fingers crossed. Had to mix match some bearings and stuff to get the clearance where I wanted it, but we finally got it down there because I started out, it was at like 3 thou, and that wasn't going to do it. So had to mix match some bearings and 1/unders and such and do some stuff. And we got her down to about 2 thou on the rod bearing clearance, which is going to be perfect. Yeah, so I think we're pretty good there on Troy's engine. We're waiting on some stuff. He's supposed to come by later to drop off some parts that he ordered off Amazon. We did end up getting some lifter trays off Amazon. Let me show you these. One thing I noticed about these, first thing off the rip, is the color. If you look at it on camera, like it kind of looks like a OEM lifter tray. But I don't think I got any clean OEM ones sitting here. But the OEM ones have like a darker gray tint to them than these ones did. And the lifters just fall in these things. And you want them to snap in. That's why you end up trading them out, or that's why you end up changing them out for new ones. The lifter trays, if the lifter rattles around in there, you know, you'll get some. We don't want that. We don't want that. Here, let me show you. I got a couple new lifters sitting here. But yeah, like this is a brand new lifter, and this thing like literally falls in it. That should not do that. There's like, you can even, like, it's so loose in there. Here's a factory one. This is an OEM lift tray. See how much darker that gray is? Make sure you get good lifter trays. Don't just buy new ones and then just assume that's it. But like this one, I physically have to push into the lifter tray. Like, it doesn't just fall in. Like, physically, I have to push it in. And then actually, see how this one falls in, comes right back out. That's how they're supposed to be. So don't use the Amazon lifter trays unless you find somebody that offers a tray that you know for certain is like OEM style. You know, obviously the OEM ones have part number on it, but there are some aftermarket companies that have these and they look just like OEM and they're, you know, they fit like OEM. These ones, not so much. But yeah, so those lifter trays, garbage. So I had to give Troy a set I had on the shelf. But let's show you what it currently looks like. She is looking pretty good, boys and girls. Not too shabby. It's ready for ring gaps to be set. It's got the lifters with the new OEM lifter trays in it. Front cover's just kind of sitting on there because we still got to put the windage tray and pickup tube. He ordered a new oil pan for it. That stuff will be coming in this week. We got head studs today, head gaskets, the conversion kit, or lower, they call it a conversion set. Basically the lower gasket set, everything from the head gasket down. The heads, so we've got them just washed. You know, we washed them at the car wash. Not too bad. Still going to do a little bit more cleaning on them. Did sand the ends of them and then sanded the bottoms of them just to knock all the junk off of them. So when we go to put them in the machine, they'll set flat and we can get them surfaced. We are going to lap these in. I'm going to wash them a little bit more, scrub them a little bit in the wash tank. But yeah, so that one's getting pretty close to being done. We'll probably have one more part of assembling this long block. It'll be ring gaps, putting the pistons and rods together, dropping them in the cylinders, and then we'll go through and start putting gaskets on everything, oil pan gaskets, setting the windage tray and all that. And then we'll get the heads dropped on it after we get those back assembled. Then it can go bye-bye to Troy's house. Be good to get this one done and get it out of here and get him back in a position where we can start getting his car back together and get ready for March for our race down in Texas. And there's a quick little clip of the Mustang with the new turbo on it. We previously had a T4 8896 VS Racing turbo on the car. We've had it on there for the last few years. It's done really well. We've done really good with it. But we wanted to try something a little different. So we picked up this VS, what's he called? I think he calls it an 8089, which would also be a generic G45 1600 Garrett turbo. But we ended up getting it all fitted on in the car and everything. We had to change the oil drain setup on it a little bit. The oil drain extension there was a little different. It was actually hitting the body or the backing plate. You can see where I grinded on the backing plate there. I ended up finding one from ICT that would fit better than the one that I had. And we got that sorted out. Had to modify this hot side pipe here. Literally had to add like a 1 inch or 3/4 inch section right there just to get it to line up to where everything kind of was, because like I said, everything got a little bit shorter, so we had to change up some stuff. And then we also had to add a 1/2 inch spacer there because the housing's a little bit more compact on the exhaust side as it is on the compressor side as well. This does have a smaller exhaust wheel than the old one, but everybody says this, the exhaust wheel in this thing, it's like an 8289 exhaust wheel. They say it's very efficient. I've done some research. There's not a whole lot of information out there for the 8089. There's a handful of guys with the Turbo LS stuff running the 7689, which is the one we just put on the boost knuckle, not but a few months ago. We haven't tested it. We've done like minimal amounts of street driving, and maybe like 5-10 miles of just like a couple drives up and down the street. And then we parked it for winter. So we got to do some testing with it. Hopefully that one will do better than the old S475. And then hopefully we'll, I don't know what we're going to gain from it, because we're going from an 80 millimeter or an 88 millimeter down to an 80 millimeter. This may hurt us. It may make less power. I mean, who knows? I don't know. But as far as space, this one takes up a lot less space than the old S400 chassis 88 millimeter that was on here. We are, as you can tell, going to change the radiator setup a little bit. We've got the VW Scirocco radiator, and we're going to make some mounts and get that thing kind of mounted up in there. And we'll have to make some new lines, but hopefully that may take care of some cooling issues we have. It may not. I don't know, but it's worth a shot. But that is going to do it for today's video, guys. Another little update on Troy's. This will be part 2 of the engine build process for Troy's 1,000 horsepower Camaro, and then a little update for the red Mustang. Hopefully we can get this thing out soon and maybe get on the rollers if I can get all this stuff sorted out, and then we get some decent weather. That maybe I can trailer to the dyno, make some pulls, and kind of see where the power is going to lie with this thing. But anyways, that's going to do for today's video, guys. Thanks for watching. Keep following along, comment, like, subscribe. I appreciate you guys so much, and we'll see you on the next one.